So my name's Lori Thomas, and I am a spiritual ecologist, a spiritual entomologist, which means that I work with, it's kind of like if you work with people on an intuitive level, I work with the insect kingdom and nature on an intuitive level. I receive healing messages from them. I receive meditations from them that I pass on to other people. I receive guidance for my life and for other people. And it's a journey. It is, it's a spiritual path almost, if you will. And it's taken me in directions that I would not have expected, that have changed how I definitely have changed my life and how I see the world and how I interact with it. So it's not something that I had planned on doing. I don't think this is something that you really ever plan to do. I had to grapple with it for a long time when I first realized this was my path, because it's just so weird. It was, okay, I'm going to talk to insects and what? So the way it started was that I was asked for help. I'm a Reiki master. I had taken animal communication classes, and I found myself doing Reiki with horses and having insects talking to me. And then at one point, about 5.5 years ago, I had a grasshopper that came to me and said, "We need your help. You can hear us. Nobody else is listening. We need your help." And I didn't do anything with that for several years, but now it's not a choice anymore. It has to happen. So it has brought me to a place of accepting that this is my path, accepting where I am on that path. And there was somebody earlier who had said something about, not being sure about what they were supposed to be doing or where they were. And Victoria, you said that when you give trust, you get more. So with this intuitive guidance, what I found was that when I suddenly realized, because I had this vision of, having to shapeshift into the insect and see the world through their eyes and be slithering through the earth with earthworms to be worth anything, to be able to give messages. And what I realized is, number one, it would scare the heck out of me. Number two, I would probably be getting information that I didn't even know what to do with, let alone the people around me. And number three, it is a journey. It's not a destination. And so whatever I am learning on this journey, wherever I am on this journey, is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm in the right place for right now. And as soon as I accepted that, nature was like, "Oh my God, she's listening," and they've just been pounding me with information ever since. So it's really simply trusting that it's not voices babbling in your head, the knowings you get, however weird they are, the weirder they are, the more you know it's not you making it up, because some of this stuff I just can't make up because I don't even know what it means. So there's that's kind of, for anybody who's on a path and they're just not sure, really important is just accepting where you are, wherever you are, whatever little bit you're getting, accepting that it is genuine, accepting that that's where you're supposed to be, and you'll get more. You'll absolutely get more. So that's kind of my journey with how I got started. So Chrysta, how about you?
Yeah. Well, it actually started, I'd say, in my early 20s. I was going through a really rough time, actually. And although I must say, I have to give credit where credit's due, because one of my grandmothers was very connected to the earth. And if it weren't for her, I don't think I would have had the pull in that direction when I was in my early 20s, because, I spent a lot of time with her. So she introduced a lot of the plants to me, as well as just a love of nature. So when I was in my early 20s, I would say I was probably going through a dark night of the soul, because I was ultra sensitive. And there was a part of me that knew what was coming, and I was afraid and ultra sensitive and having a really hard time grappling with what energies were prevailing on the planet at that time. And so actually the only place I found solace was nature. And it started me on a journey that even to this day, I feel the same as you, Lori. I have no idea where it's going or what it looks like. But the initial impulse was for me to find out as much as I could about every plant out there and every tree. And I used books. I pored over books. I did a lot of hiking and walking in the forest. I was fortunate to find a woman in my area who took me on and showed me all of the plants and how to prepare medicines from the plants as well as use them for food, all of the wild plants. So I did a lot of foraging, a lot of wild crafting, and then the process shifted. And as I developed my relationship with the plants, I started to hear things. And I would sometimes go out and I'd be in a certain emotional state, or I'd be really, really struggling. And all of a sudden, I would be out and a plant would give me a transmission. That's all. Now that I have the language for it. At the time, I didn't know what was happening, but there was a transmission happening. And they would either give me an energetic transmission where things would shift for me, or it would be words that would come through. And I can't say I always heeded their advice, but the reality is they were opening me up to feeling. They were opening my heart. And so it would be this vibratory resonance that would begin to happen, and I would begin to respond to that. So then, it became apparent to me that I would love to, work with plants. So I did a lot of studies over the years, and I have studied many different modalities, and it was the most recent studies that I've taken on that I've moved beyond books. And initially I started with a lot of books and a lot of studying from different people. And then I began to realize that just through direct experience, I was tapping into the same information, and I kept clarifying that through research. So what I would do is I would have an experience with the plant, and I would get a whole bunch of information, a download for medicinal uses, traditional uses, things like this. And this would be a plant I'd never spent time with or done any research. And then I would check it, and it would be invariably right on. So I began to think, wow, there's something here. As soon as I shifted in that way, it was similar to you, Laurie. As soon as I shifted that perspective and let go of my traditional way of gathering knowledge and information about them, there was so much that came. It was a little overwhelming at first. It was like they were waiting for me to take that next step. They were all there. And I believe now it was a part of my evolution and my my consciousness growing and shifting. So so I haven't turned back since then. I would say what's been happening more and more frequently. Initially, I would receive, like I said, words and then symbols and pictures and translate that. And it becomes a little difficult sometimes to translate that for me, and I'm still working on honing that. But what's been happening more frequently is it's like I merge with the plant now. And so there's this process of just becoming the plant. And it's a very embodied process where I have this, it's like a vibratory frequency that I call on or move into, and then the plant is moving through me. And so basically, I feel like all these years in my journey with the plants and nature kingdom, it's been a process of clarifying my being so that I could just get out of the way and allow this to happen. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And I have no idea where it will take me. So yeah, that's been my journey, and that's a little bit about myself.